with your heart. Let's say, for example, slow heartbeat, fast heartbeat, irregular heartbeat. If you're experiencing dizziness or anything that is unusual, we highly recommend the brilliant Dr. Duong. Okay, he's an electrophysiologist. He's up to the latest technologies of the heart. We highly recommend him. His phone number is 877-773-8664. I'm going to repeat that. 877-773-8664. Okay. Just to give you a little idea of what we teach here is human nature. You know, when you begin to understand that the most important thing that you can know about yourself is your true nature. Because many people do not understand or even really have any concepts or ideas of what our true nature is. They struggle in life. It makes life more difficult when you don't know your own true nature. Okay, it is the most important thing that you can learn about yourself. I think maybe after today's show, you will get an idea of what we're talking about here. Okay, you've heard the great teacher said, "Know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." You know, in reality, that is the only thing that can make you free, is the truth. And the truth is knowing your true nature. Understanding yourself, knowing thyself, is the most important thing that you can do. If, you know, there's something that I want you to really take seriously. If there is anything that we ever really talk about that is not true, we would like to know. We would like to know if we are giving you things that are not true. So follow along with me today, and just keep it in mind. If I say anything that is not true, I would like you to contact us. Let us know, okay? We really want to know. It is important to us. My topic today is the group mind. Okay, the group mind is a very powerful thing, has a real big influence on all of humanity. Okay, this is very important. It's very important that you know this. Okay, I'm going to go into explaining it a little bit long, but first I want to go over something that I think is very important that you should understand and keep it in mind when you're listening to the topic today. Because in general, and I'm speaking in general, not everybody, of course, but in general, many people are very poor listeners. What I mean by that is, you know, when people are having a conversation with each other, a discussion or whatever, an argument, kind of in general, what people tend to do, many people, is when the other person is speaking or saying something, what you're doing is you're not really paying attention. You're thinking of what you can come back with. You're thinking of what you want to say instead of really listening to the other person. So my point is this: I really want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. I know I may say things and your mind want to go off and think that you have another different way of looking at it. But if you do that, you are not going to get the point of what I'm trying to get across to you. So it is very important that you listen to my side of it today, because that is what you did. You tuned in so you could hear something different. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you something different. But you have to listen carefully to what I'm saying. Then afterwards, if you don't agree or if you think something different, that's fine. That's okay. But if you don't listen, you're not really going to get the point. You're not going to get the message, okay? Another thing that I want you to understand is that many people have allowed others to do their thinking for them. And I mean, I know I was guilty of that for many years. Actually, for a great part of my life, I was even guilty of that, allowing others to do my thinking for me. What what I mean by that is I allowed people that came before me, my parents, my grandparents, their parents. We can just go back and back and back, or the people that I was around. I was just influenced, and I never questioned. I just accepted the same beliefs, the same ideas, and never really questioned it. There are some things that we question for sure. There are many things that we question, but there are many other important things that you never have really questioned. I'm gonna try to cover that today in this my topic of the group mind. Okay, the group mind, it can be a good thing. Okay, it's not all negative. Okay, it's not all negative that we're talking about here, because the group mind can be a good thing. You can belong to groups that are actually trying to do good. Okay, you can belong to those groups and you can have the same ideas, and you're all might be contributing different ideas to something good, which is fine, which is great. Okay, but I'm going to go over something that's maybe a little different, maybe something you have never thought about before, but I believe it's very important. Okay, the group mind, it exists even in animals. Okay, that's why you have a flock of birds. A certain type of bird, they will stick together. You can see the flocks, they fly together, they move around together. It exists with other animals too. Each different types of species of animals, they tend to stay together all the time. Okay, so it exists. This group mind exists with animals also. Bees, it exists with bees. So I just want you to get an idea of that for sure. I think you know that to be true. Okay, but here's what I want to talk about: the group mind also exists with humans. Okay, it exists with humans. That's why we have political parties. That's why we have different economical levels and different beliefs in these different economical levels, the belief systems that the people have. Okay, racial groups, those are group mind. It's also the group mind. Religions, for example, is also part of this group mind. That today is really what I want to talk about today. Okay, religion. Let's think about this, okay? Follow along with me. How many of you have ever really questioned why you belong to the religion that you do? Have you ever really questioned it? Have you ever really followed it back through history and then just to see what has happened? And when you came into the picture and why you came into the picture. Have you ever really done that? I think most people haven't. I think most people have just grown up and have accepted the religion. Okay? That was why I said earlier, that many of us have just have allowed others to do our thinking for us. Our parents, our grandparents, their parents, just going back and back and back in generations. And then we're born into that way of thinking, that belief system, and we just take it on. Okay, and again, I'm saying it's not everyone, but I'm pretty sure that it is a great portion of the population of people that actually have done that, taken on the beliefs of others that have come before us. Okay. Now, have you ever questioned it? Okay, well, let's see. We know now that religions are established heavily, different religions in different parts of the world. All you got to do is go to a certain part of the world, and the majority, of course, there are exceptions, the majority of people born in that area belong to that religion. Okay? Then if you go to another part of the world, it's another religion, and the majority of people that are born in that area, part of the world, belong to that religion, and you can just keep right on going. Let me give you an example. Let's take Mexico, Central America, and a great part of South America. If I would ask you what is the major religion over there, we would say that it is Catholic, which is Catholic is for you that there are some people I know you might be surprised, but there are some people that don't realize that Catholics are Christian religion. Okay, well, anyways, let's go back to the majority in those countries through Mexico, Central America, and many parts of South America. The people are Catholic. Right? Now, that's a good portion of the world, right? That's a good part of the world. Now we can go to another part of the world. We'll go into the Middle East area, okay? The majority of people in the Middle East are Muslim. The people that are born there, the majority of them are Muslim, okay? Now, we can go to another part of the world, let's say India, China, the Asian countries. The majority will probably be either Buddhist, Hindu. People that are born in those areas, the majority part are probably Hindu and Buddhist. I know there are also Muslims in that area, but I would say the majority would be Hindu and Buddhist in that part of the world. Okay? So which is a big part. I've already covered a big part of the world already with some of the major religions. Now, in this country, the majority of people that are born in this country are Christian. And if you go to the Southwest, more in the Southwest for many years, the people were Catholic. Okay? Same as Mexico, Central America, South America. Okay? Now, let's think about why that is. Back over here in this part of the world. Why is that? Okay. We all know, if you go back in a little bit of history, we know that the Spanish went into Mexico and many parts of Central and South America. We can say conquered. Conquered is really when you go and you kind of dominate, okay? And what did they bring with them? They brought their language and they brought their religion, which was Catholic, okay? Because before that, before the Spanish came, they were not Catholics. The people were not Catholics. Whatever beliefs or whatever they had with what we call God, it was not the same belief system that the Catholics had, okay? So the Catholics went in and brought their language, brought their religion, and in time, that's why I'm saying the group mind, and I'm going to go over what happens a little later on in my talk. I'm going to go over what happens to people in other words, your human nature. Why? They came along, the Spanish came along, brought their religion and their language, and it took a little time. But after a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations, everyone just accepted what the Spanish brought over, the language and the religion. So today now, many generations have gone by, and the people now that are just born in those areas, they're just born and they just accept it, never questioned why they have their beliefs. Never questioned, never thought about it. The Spanish even came up into the southwestern part of the United States, and they brought the religion over here too, and the language, of course. And now a lot of people in the Southwest here in the United States also became Catholics. I mean, I know that to be true because that's what I was for many years. And why? Because my parents and their grandparents and the people that came before me, they were Catholics, and I never questioned it. That's exactly what I'm talking. I never questioned why. Why was I a Catholic? I just accepted it like many, many, many people that I know. They just have accepted it and never questioned why. So let me put something in a little different way now. Think about this. They brought their language, and that was my language also. I can say that was also my first language, Spanish, and I was Catholic. And many, many people, same thing happened to them. They never questioned it. But now I'm going to leave one more thing before we take a break. I want to let you think about this. Just think about it, okay? What if people from the Middle East, what if some country from the Middle East would have come over and conquered the same area that the Spanish conquered? What do you think the result would have been? Can you understand now that if it would have been countries from the Middle East would have come over and conquered, if you just think about it, all of us, people in that area, in the areas that I talked about, they would be speaking Arabic and they would be Muslims now. Think about it. That's all that happened. A certain group came, brought their language and their religion, and the people through after generations just accepted it, and now they just continue to accept it to this very day. So now, again, I want you to think about what I'm saying here. Had it been people from Asia came and conquered, what would the religion be and what would the language be? So now, that's all I want you to do. I just want you to think about it. That's all. Okay? I want you to think about yourself. Have you been allowing others to do your thinking for you, or are you going to begin to think about it for yourself? Okay? That's what we're here. That's why we have this show. That's why we call it the Truth Only Show, because we want you to think about these things that are going on in the world. We want you to be aware of who you truly are and why things are the way they are for you. And we want to give you a way to form a greater life for yourself. That is the purpose of this show. Okay, just think about what I talked about. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to cover some more on this group mind. And I just want to remind you, you're listening to KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM here on the Truth Only Show, where you can find us at truthonlyshow.com.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Great to have you here with us again on the here we are on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, here on the Truth Only Show, where we deliver you nothing but the truth. And what we've been talking about today is the group mind and the effect that it has on the world. I believe there are probably many people have not given a whole lot of thought. I'm sure there are some of you that have thought about all this that we're talking about today, which is great. But I know that there are many out there have never even considered it. And I think it's very important that you consider it because a lot of your belief systems, a lot of the things that you are believing are based on the group that you are in, that you belong to. Now, maybe you need to question it a little bit more. Is it a good thing? Maybe it's a good thing for you. But is it something that is not really working for you? What you're accepting and believing, does it make your life better? I mean, shouldn't we belong to things that are get beliefs and ideas that will make our life better, and those that are around us make their lives better also? That's what I believe is the most important thing, instead of just believing whatever, Now, the like I said earlier, this group mind can be a good thing, but can also have negative consequences when you're believing, just going along following a group, okay? Just following the group is not always a good thing, because you may have to maybe even question it, is what is your group doing with what they believe and what they teach? What are they doing? Are they actually really doing good for the world, or could your group actually be a problem? Could it be one of the problems of the world? Could religion be a problem in this world? Let's ask that question. We know for a fact that many wars have been caused because of religion. Okay, and like I say, I'm not trying to just give you a negative look at this, because like I said, it could be also some good. If what you belong to, is doing some good, great. Stick with it. Don't change anything. That's all we're saying. Now, whatever happened, what I was talking about, what happened to people in Mexico, all through South America, and here in the southwest of the United States, they're not the only ones that were affected by that. With somebody coming and conquering and taking over and changing their beliefs and changing their language or religion, that's happening all over the world. It's been happening all over the world. So there are many people all over this world that are just accepting things only because of where they were born. That's all. We just want you to question it. That's all. Now, let's take a look at why that happens. Why does that happen? Why does this group mind exist? Okay? I mean, why would he even be talking about that? Well, if we take a look at it, is what we're trying to teach here on the show is the truth, and which is the truth about you is your true nature. That's why we say it is the most important thing that you can learn about yourself, is your true nature. What we mean by that is that there is a certain thing about all of us that is the same for all of us. And it matters not what color you are, what part of the world you are, what your nationality is, what your religion is. None of that really makes any difference when it comes to your true nature. There is one thing that we all have the same exact, that we all have in common, that is the same, okay? And that is the way our minds work, okay? So I want to try to explain why this group mind exists, because there is a part of us. Let's put it this way. We can say there's two parts of our mind. We have the conscious and the subconscious mind. Okay? The driving force really behind our lives is our subconscious mind. Okay? And if we're not aware of what is going on there, it will drive us and move us in whatever direction the subconscious mind has been programmed with. I'll give you an example. A little child, which was you, I can say a little child, and I'm talking about you because you were a little child. When you were sitting around playing with your toys, for example, little boys playing marbles and girls playing with their dolls, what most people are not aware of is that that child, you, when you were sitting there playing with your toys, what the people around you were talking about, whatever it was, whether they were talking about limitations, financial limitations, for example, whether they were talking about politics, for example, whether they were talking about religion, for example, whatever things the adults that were around you were talking about, you weren't even, people are not aware of that when you're a child. Those ideas, those concepts are going into your subconscious mind. In other words, you're being programmed and you're not even aware of what's happening to you. The belief systems are going right into you. Okay? The problem is, most adults they're not even aware of what they're talking about is going into their children. So if the adults are talking a lot of negative, a lot of bad, it is going into your children. They are listening, they're taking it in, and they're not even aware of what is happening to them. So they're growing up and taking on many of the same beliefs. Of course, some of them are going to question some beliefs and this and that and want to go in a different direction. But in generally speaking, the child is just going to grow up and have the same beliefs as the parents, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, pick up the same concepts, the same ideas. Many times it is political. And a big portion of those beliefs and ideas that they're picking up and believing them to be true is religion. They're picking up their religious beliefs. And they're not even aware of it. They grow up and they live their lives believing the same ideas, belonging to the same religion. They grow up and then they have children and they bring the next generation along. And usually there isn't anybody that goes in there and breaks that chain and says, wait a minute, why am I believing this? Wait a minute, and starts looking at a different way. Why did I get these beliefs? Why am I following along? Remember what I said, the group mind? I mean, it's a powerful thing, especially when you weren't even aware of that's what was happening to you. That's what I'm talking about when I said that all human beings have that in common, the way our minds work. That's why what I'm talking about happens all around the world. You're born in a certain area, you grow up with the same ideas, the same religious beliefs. You grow up in another part of the world, you grow up with those same ideas. You grow up in another part of the world, you grow up with those ideas. Same beliefs. And that's why, when you look at that's why when you look at countries around the world, for example, poverty. That's why poverty runs from generation to generation to generation. It just keeps going and going and going because of this group mind. Because accepting these beliefs that have just been handed down, accepting In other words, letting others do our thinking for us. Not even being aware of where we picked up our limited beliefs from. Sure, every generation will do a little better than the last generation, but in general, it just continues on and on and on. That's our true nature. That's what we want you to understand about yourself. What you're allowing to go into your mind, into your subconscious, what you have allowed to go into your subconscious, that is who you are today. That is what you're believing today. And the person that can have the greatest impact on what you believe and your life, your future, the person that can have the greatest impact is you. It's what you say and think and believe about yourself that is going to determine your future. Unless you're going to continue to let others that have done their thinking for you, if you're going to continue on and just accept that, well, then nothing is going to change from you. If you're struggling in life, if life is difficult, if you're having poor relationships, if you're struggling financially, it's because of what's been programmed into you, and you're just accepting it, and you don't even realize how to change it. That's what we're here to do. We're here to teach you how to change those beliefs about yourself, because it is done unto you as you believe. And that is the truth about yourself. And the only one that can change your belief is you. And that is by speaking words of power into your life, speaking good into your life, instead of just accepting the negative, the limitations, the old belief systems that don't work for you. You can begin to speak good things about yourself. You have to be careful of what you are speaking and saying about yourself, because the only one really in there listening is you. You've probably heard that statement before. So you have to be careful of what you say about yourself, because you're the only one that's really listening. You're the only one that really matters of what you think about yourself. It is very important that you understand your true nature. And I want to make it clear to you. Every human being has the same nature. You may think that we're different. You may think, sure, we look different. We have different cultures. We have different beliefs. That's for sure. That's a fact. But I can tell you one thing that we all have the same in common is our nature, and that is this. Very simple. And it's actually very simple. You have free will, which means this. Free will means that you can think whatever you choose to think about. Okay? That's your free will. You can think all the bad, the negative, the concepts about yourself, that you're limited, that you're not creative. You can think all those kind of things about yourself. But I'll tell you for a fact, you will live your life that way. You can think that you are limited, financially limited. You can think that all you want. You will live that way. But you have free will. You can begin to think that things are great, that things work in your favor, and in favor of all those that are around you. Your family, you can think that they are great people, intelligent people, that you're an intelligent, creative person. that things are great in your life. Money flows easily and effortlessly into my life. Begin to take on those concepts, those beliefs, and watch what will begin to happen to you. And every human being has free will to think whatever they want. And you will live what you choose to think and believe about yourself. And I'll tell you one thing. There's not a thing you can do about this rule and this law and this principle that I'm giving you. There's not a thing you can do about it. You either learn to use it in your favor or use it against yourself. But you cannot change that about yourself. No human being can change that about themselves. It's built into you. It's a law. It's a law that works perfectly, just like electricity works perfectly. You do everything right with electricity, you get all the benefits. But you use it wrong, and what happens? It will burn your house down and kill you. And even though it's doing that, it is not vengeful. And neither is this law that I'm talking about. Okay? Think about all this. We're going to take a short break now. And I just want to remind you, you're listening to KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM. Here on The Truth Only Show. You can find us at trutholyshow.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger or brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Welcome back with us here on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM here on the Truth Only Show, where we deliver you nothing but the truth. I hope that that's what we've been doing today. I think that everything that we've presented to you today, I think you can see that that's really what is going on. It's what's going on in this world. And there's something that I also maybe I want to cover. Is some of the effects that do go on in this world because of our group thinking and our religions. There's too much division going on in this world, and because of this group mind. There's a thing called non-resistance that's part of our nature. We tend to do a lot of resisting things in this life. And I want you to think about this. Which do you think is better for you in your own life? If you're always resisting and fighting against something, in other words, that's what you're focused on. You're fighting against something. You're trying to defeat something. You're trying to win over something. So you're always trying to figure out a way to conquer a problem, to defeat a problem, trying to fix your own problems, which, it's okay, but not to be your whole focus. Because imagine this. What if your whole focus was creating a better life, improving your life instead? Think about which would be better for you. To be fighting against things, using all your energy to fight against things, or to spend the majority of all your focus on creating a better life, educating yourself more, learning more, doing good things. In all ways. We're talking financially. We're talking about doing more good in this world. Which, whatever you send out comes back to you. That's a fact. Whatever you send out comes back to you. If you're sending out negative, just take for example, if you're an employer, for example, and you treat your employees really bad, what comes back to you? What do they feel about you? Do you get good treatment from them? Or do you get some phony, false treatment from them? Now, think about if you do good, if you treat people good, what happens? Usually what people are going to do is they are going to respond to you the way you treat them. So that should make it pretty obvious that you fighting against things and being against this and spewing out negative, it never really works. Because whatever negative that you are sending out, remember, there's a ripple effect. It will come back to you. And you know what I talk about here, what happens with an individual, this is also true for a city, for a county, for a state, for a nation, for the world. These laws of mind are the same. They operate exactly the same. The way the thinking is in a certain country, the majority of thinking, the thought process of a nation, you can see the result of it. You can see it within the nation, within the people. The people in general, if they're limited thoughts, limited ideas, limited concepts, you can see it all throughout the nation, especially when it comes from the leaders, which usually that's where it comes from, the leaders. Okay? So when there's leaders that are spewing out a lot of negative, you can begin to see the results in the nation. It will begin to have a big impact on the country also. You should be able to see, just think about it, and you can see it going on in the world. For example, there are some nations that are never, ever involved in war. Ever. And those nations don't even really focus on weapons. They're not focused on weapons. They're not focused on military. That is not their major focus, let's put it that way. So I hope you can see that what I'm talking about here is whatever you focus on, whether it's you as an individual or a nation or the world, for that matter. If the world is focused on the negative, that will cause chaos all around the world. So you can get a better understanding of the world that you live in by understanding your own true nature. Because the thought process, the results of your thinking are the same, whether it's a nation or you as an individual. You think the negative, you create the negative. You think the good and you create the good. That's what we're talking about here. Now, you can look at this, our nation here. If you think there's a lot of negative being spread out there right now, if that's what's going around out there, what are the results? What are you listening to on the news? What is happening now? Okay? Something that I can see that is really different, that is happening now, and as growing up through most part of my life, those kind of things weren't happening. What I'm talking about here, we're having these mass shootings going on in our nation now. They didn't exist before. We didn't have mass shootings. We didn't have all these mass. Well, sure, I'm sure we had them once in a while. Okay, I'm sure that's we've probably always had them, but not to the extent that we're having them nowadays. They're becoming a common thing. So, but I want you to think, what is the thinking going on? What is the thinking going on being spread by our leaders? And see if there's see if you can see a ripple effect. Like what I'm talking about, you as an individual. Think about your own life. I forgot the term that psychology uses, but I want you to think about what you think about. I'm going to repeat that. Think about what you think about. What runs through your mind when you get up in the morning? What runs through your mind? Do you get up? Do you regret getting up and having to go to that job you have? Do you regret having to go face the people that you face on a daily routine? Do you dread it? If you dread it, maybe you need to think about it a little bit more. Maybe you need to think about it in a different way. What if you would try this, but try it for enough time and challenge us? I want you to challenge us, challenge what we talk about here on the show. Why don't you try getting up in the morning and saying that this is a great day. This is going to be a wonderful day. Things are going to work in my favor. And I know that great things are happening right now. Right now, starting this moment, right now, this is going to be a great day. Things are improving. Things are getting better all the time in my life. And throughout the day, every time that you can remember, I want you to say that. The people around me, everything is great. Everything is beautiful. Everything is fantastic. Why don't you try it for a minute? Try it throughout your day. And I'm really serious. Challenge us. I want you to really challenge us and see if what we're talking about is real. Or are we just spewing out a bunch of false beliefs, false ideas? No, we're not. We're giving you the truth about yourself, the truth about your own true nature. We're giving you the truth about the laws of mind, the laws of mind that work perfectly in life. as I said earlier, these laws work perfectly, just like the laws of electricity, the laws of gravity. And if you do not believe that you are creative, go back and think about your own life. All the decisions, all the choices, the person that was responsible for your life right now is you. You had the final say-so over all your life. Just want to remember that. You created your experience to this point. I want to thank you all for being with us today. And want to remind you, listen to KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM on the Truth Only Show. Here at Truth Only Show, you can find us at trutholnyshow.com, and you're listening to David Paul Band. You can find him at David Paul Music. Go to davidpaulmusic.com. Check out the calendar for a fantastic night of entertainment. And I want to check out the Bell City Players also. Go online and check out the Bell City Players. You will not be disappointed. Thank you very much. We will see you next week.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Chiefs score again. I'm Jeff Biggs, and we'll see if it's a big second half, but it has been a good day for Sammy Watkins, who just caught his second touchdown pass of the day from Patrick Mahomes, third on the day for Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs are in front of the Broncos now, 23-14 with 7:05 left to go in the third quarter of play. Also, the Bears with a Mitchell Trubisky touchdown pass have upped their lead on the Jets. It's now 13-3. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, after a rough start for Jameis Winston, they have just scored again. Jameis Winston connecting with Adam Humphries, and it is 27-15. The Bengals are on top with the point after try coming up. Third quarter in Detroit, the Seahawks are still up on the Lions 21-7. The Giants are trailing at MetLife to the Redskins, a low-scoring game, 7-3. The Steelers with two touchdown passes from Ben Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown lead the Browns 14-6. And third quarter now in Carolina, the Panthers are up on the Ravens 24-7. Earlier today, Wembley Stadium in London, the Eagles topped the Jags 24-18, three touchdown passes.